Hello, this is Blue Star, Defender of Equestria! Wait a minute, I sense something.
Hey, every pony.
Huh? Blur, what are you doing here?
Well, you did leave the front door open.
What door? I don't know anything about a door that lets other ponies into my channel.
It's on the ceiling.
I guess I'll have to check that later. But anyway, welcome to my channel.
Oh, Blue Star. Theme music!
Today, we're going to talk about some equestrian history and the ponies' relations between the Alicorns, Griffons, Draconequuses, and Dragons. This is a topic that Thunderblur had thought up, and while history is not exactly my forte, I've decided to give this my best shot.
Please stop with the music puns.
So today's lineup will be Alicorns, Griffon, Draconequuses, and then Dragons with my apparent guest, Thunderblur.
What's up, guys? I'll be giving a pretty good argument if we disagree on something. So away we go to the land of headcanon material. Ink Rose 98 created an Alicorn king named Rubenus for the Crystal Empire. And I find her headcanon very amazing, and I like the concept of this OC. And thought, what if there were other Alicorns with concepts based on their environment? That blew everything out of the water for me. So what's about you, Blue Star?
Well, the first two Alicorns we see are based on the sun and the moon, which are certainly environmental elements, but Cadence and Twilight at first don't appear to be. Although you could argue that crystal is an element of nature and that love and friendship are very powerful, especially in Equestria, I'm not sure these are really environmental elements. However, since the rulebook on Alicorns is still pretty open at this point, it is possible that there are other Alicorns, perhaps based on environmental elements such as water, wind, or fire, etc. It does also seem that each princess/Alicorn does represent either an environmental element and or a central theme such as love or friendship.
I can see what you're talking about with the Alicorns, and we must venture into Griffons. I mean, come on, Gilda can't be the only existing Griffon, so let's look at the hints from the Crystal Empire. The architecture is based on Greek mythology, and had Griffons holding up as pillars. If that's not a sign of ponies and Griffons used to live together in society, well, I don't know what does. So, can you please expand, Blue Star?
It is certainly interesting to see two Griffons in front of the Crystal Empire Library. It's also interesting to note that as far as I can remember, this is the only time we see Griffon statues in the whole of the Crystal Empire, and perhaps in the whole of Equestria as well. This could mean anything from Griffons were a symbol of knowledge, learning, etc., or were the protectors of such things, to simply that Griffons were a part of equestrian society. You wouldn't exactly make a statue of a race you didn't particularly like and then place them in front of the public library. So it does appear Griffons were a part of the Crystal Empire at some point, but perhaps are not anymore, since we don't see any Griffons in the Crystal Empire both when Sombra first took over and when the Crystal Empire reappeared 1,000 years later. So it appears at some point before Sombra took over, Griffons were no longer a major part of society, but still left a noticeable impact on the Crystal Pony society. But moving back to the present, the fact that Gilda and Rainbow Dash both went to Junior Speedster Flight Camp together certainly is a very revealing of the current relationship between these two species. Again, if they didn't like each other, you definitely wouldn't send your kids to flight camp together. I wonder what the Junior Speedster Flight Camp is. Briefly, it sounds like a summer camp of some kind, sort of like a children's version of the Wonderbolt Academy, since the goal isn't just to learn how to fly, but to someday be the very best. It's possible that this camp may not even be in Equestria, but instead may be in the Griffon homeland. Again, all of this could be very telling of the relationship between ponies, or more specifically Pegasi and Griffons. I wonder if Griffons get along with all three tribes, or just the Pegasi. Well, without knowing more about what Griffons are actually like, and sadly Gilda appears to be a poor representative, it's really hard to say. But I guess in short, it appears Griffons were important in pony society at one point, but for some reason appear to have lost that importance. However, it looks like relations between the ponies and Griffons are pretty good, but since we don't see Griffons often, there may not be a whole lot of them, and or maybe they live somewhere outside Equestria, or maybe even a part of Equestria we have yet to see. So, those are my thoughts on the subject, but what do you think, Thunderblur?
Griffins are very mysterious in MLP, but I bet Season 4 can introduce more of them to us. If not, then we will keep our head canon and let's go to legendary Draconici. It seems there may be more than just Discord in Equestria. Since Equestria is a country, there has to be other homeland for the Draconici. Maybe somewhere near Equestria or very far out over an ocean, but out of all honesty, I think there are thousands of other Draconici. Blue Star, please give us your opinion, and can I get one of those suits of armor?
Well, those suits of armor are really only for members of the Royal Guard, but I do hear the Crystal Empire might have a spare suit that they could lend you. Oh dear. Considering the trouble that just one Discord caused thousands of Discords could really be a major problem. Ugh. But not knowing Discord's backstory, it's really hard to say if he's the only one, or is a member of an entire species that exists somewhere in the world of MLP. You've probably already heard the headcanon that Starswirl the Bearded became Discord after trying to perform the spell at the end of Magical Mystery Cure, and sadly that turned out to be not such a good idea simply because he was a loner trying to perform a spell whose key was friendship, and this backfired massively and turned him into Discord. Ooh dear. But this is most likely not true, but raises a good point that Discord could be one of a kind, which I think is most likely. But maybe there are other Draconicuses out there somewhere, since Chera Lee first describes the statue of Discord as a Draconicus, sort of implying that Discord is just one of these creatures and not the only one. Is he the only Draconicus that symbolizes Discord, or do the other Draconicuses represent something else? Perhaps he was thrown out of his own homeland because he did represent Discord so strongly and ended up in Equestria. That's probably not likely, but it is an interesting question of why would Discord go to Equestria, a place that is clearly the opposite of what he is? Again, without more information, it's really hard to answer these questions, but what are your thoughts on Draconicuses?
Okay, since in our world they're called chimeras, other Draconici could have different features, such as the head of a dragon and the body of a crocodile, which will show the diversity of these creatures and how their environment can affect them. Now, Giving Mintico has Prince Shining Armor if he has spare armor laying around anywhere.
Okay, Shining Armor is a reasonable pony, but wait a minute. Is there a reason we both need a set of armor? Is it because we're going to cover dragons next? Oh dear, they can be quite scary and dangerous. Just ask the Wonderbolts. Ugh. They embarrassingly got trapped pretty badly when a dragon appeared out of nowhere and went rampaging through Ponyville. It was very ugly. Ugh.
Yep. We're going into the land of dragons, and also, Shining Armor couldn't find me any armor. Well, at least I can fly over the flames. Have you noticed that by far, Spike is the only dragon without wings? There's obviously another species of dragons, but we haven't seen any more wingless dragons in the show. Maybe Spike is the last of his kind, and dragons may be, well, like Spike, is the last of his kind. Dragons might have interacted with other ponies, and, well, the wingless ones anyway, and have special abilities like Spike being able to send letters to Princess Celestia, which helped form Equestria after Discord's defeat.
That is a good point. Spike does appear to be one of a kind. Perhaps that explains why he ended up with the ponies to begin with, because I don't think a dragon would take kindly to having their eggs stolen. I think any pony that tried would probably end up being very well done. Ugh. It also doesn't seem likely that they would give their egg over to the ponies either, since while it doesn't look like dragons aren't outright hostile towards ponies, I don't think they're exactly friends either. I think their relationship is more like, you don't bother me, and I won't bother you. But what do you think?
In this case, I think their relationship is as you described it to be, and such the relationships in Equestria are not thoroughly expressed through the show, but out of all of them, it seems that ponies and griffins have the best relationship. Well, all of the creatures we've covered, and frankly, I'm okay with that. If they can sponsor camps with each other that shows the two countries have a strong alliance, I think it's about time for our final thoughts.
Indeed, it does. So, I guess even though it appears some of these relationships might not have been what they have used to be, the ponies have not really made any enemies, and instead have managed to form mostly good relations with the other creatures that live in and around Equestria, so, way to go, Equestria!
Celestia, you and your sister's rule has made Equestria a much better place to live. In fact, I'm honored to be living here in Canterlot with you, Luna, Blue Star, and the other bronies that live here, and all over Equestria.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Thunderblur. It's been really fun working with you on this collab, Thunderblur, so you can drop by anytime, but please, next time, use the front door.
Okie dokie Loki. See you soon, every pony.
So, that is the end of our video on equestrian history and the ponies' relations between the Alicorns, Griffons, Draconiquises, and Dragons. So this is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.